Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. On our second hour, it's the 150th anniversary of the greatest man of the 19th century, Abraham Lincoln, being inaugurated president March 4th, 1861. The uncompleted dome of the Capitol behind him, and the big issue, secession is the essence of anarchy. You don't have an oath to destroy this government, but I just made one, and it's in heaven to protect, preserve, protect, and defend. And don't go starting a civil war. And unfortunately, they didn't take his advice. On April 12th, and we'll be marking that anniversary too, the day of infamy, firing on Fort Sumter. Abner Doubleday shoots back. And these people, whatever they thought they were getting, within 4 years, General Sherman was on the scene to reassert law and order, but a lot of useless suffering in the process. So that's something to think about. Anyway, Abraham Lincoln, by all odds, the greatest man of the 19th century. And if you're in American politics, you got to ask yourself periodically, am I right with Lincoln? Is what I do compatible with Abraham Lincoln? How about you, Governor Scott Walker? Are you right with Lincoln? Well, we have this famous essay by Lincoln where he says, labor is prior to capital and more important than capital, meaning that the demands of labor are more important than the demands of capital. And by this time, he's talking about industrial capital even. But if you're talking about finance capital, you could say even more than what Lincoln is suggesting, that labor is absolutely more important than finance capital, and that is the bankruptcy of the Republican Party. Lincoln would be horrified by the Republicans, the people calling themselves Republicans today. They have made that into a reactionary party, verging into something worse, verging into something that looks more like Mussolini or indeed the Gestapo, as we saw now in Wisconsin. And of course, people will leave these states, right? You destroy the public education system, people will go someplace else. Maryland will hold on here somehow. Not everything great here, but it's not going to look like that. So let's also then just remember, Congressman Ryan from Wisconsin says, we have frugal states and profligate states, and we should never bail out the states. Oh, yeah, Ryan, we should only bail out Wall Street to $4 trillion worth, but not the American states. And by the way, is Texas a profligate state with the reactionary Rick Perry and the Republicans in command and their $25 billion deficit? This is just ridiculous. Obama is down there today cavorting with Jeb Bush in Florida in the service of union busting, and he'll be welcomed by the reactionary Governor Scott, who looks like Mr. Clean but is not Mr. Clean. They're targeting the teachers down there. The reactionaries say that the Democratic senators in Wisconsin are not doing their job because they're not in the State House. These are the same Republicans who are getting ready to shut down the federal government in the middle of 3 wars about to become 4 wars. Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan is at war, and shortly Libya. So this is absolute bankruptcy. Time to get the pitchforks out. Time to revive the labor movement. Now let's switch gears. Obama, the warmonger. He ran as a warmonger. This was not a secret. He said, I didn't like the Iraq war, but man, do I love that Afghanistan war, which means the war with Pakistan. So he's got 3 wars going now. 2 of them are his responsibility. He took over Afghanistan in the infamous West Point speech, December 2009, and Pakistan is absolutely his baby, and Libya will be his baby. So Obama is now making threats. Butcher Barkey on the rampage. He says, Gaddafi has lost legitimacy. He must leave. Obama, where's your birth certificate? This shows the progressive, anti-war essence of the birth certificate issue. Who are you to be telling Gaddafi? We're going to have Phil Berg on at the end of the show reporting on the various states that are doing something. I don't see how anybody can object to a state law that says if you want to run for office, you should produce a birth certificate. What could, the rest of us have to do that to get a driver's license, a passport, and the rest of it? Why should the political class be exempt, right? It doesn't say Obama. It's for everybody. We'd be surprised who we might find, right? All kinds of people may come up with that. So Obama says that the U.S. is going to be ready to act rapidly in Libya. This means, as I've been warning since the 23rd, 24th of February, it means a no-fly zone imposed by the U.S. and NATO, which means, of course, airstrikes. It means, as Secretary Gates pointed out, you've got to destroy the entire air defense system of the country. Nobody really knows what the level of Gaddafi's air defenses might be. He might have some serious SAMs. He might have some serious surface-to-air missiles. He might have some serious anti-ship missiles for the Gulf of Sirte, right, the old line of death. Maybe that will come back into play. Right now, Russia, China, and France say they don't like the no-fly zone and military intervention. Italy and Germany also say they don't like it. So this doesn't look too easy. But here's the situation. Some of this stuff is actually a sham. Obama's headed for a new Bay of Pigs. Remember, the Bay of Pigs was what? It was an attempt to use military forces, irregular forces, to overthrow the Castro government in Cuba in 1962. It failed, and Castro was reasserting control. At that point, Allen Dulles and our heroes from the CIA went to Kennedy and said, we demand U.S. airstrikes now and a U.S. invasion of Cuba. Kennedy rightly said, no, get lost, scram, and by the way, Dulles, you're fired in the following year. Now, Obama's much too weak to do any of these things. This is not John Kennedy. I knew John Kennedy, and you're no John Kennedy. This is a new Bay of Pigs now approaching. We could have a new Iraq war in 1 week. Where's the peace movement? In the same phase that we're at now, vis-a-vis Iraq, we had several 100,000 people demonstrating in Washington. Peace movement completely paralyzed by Obama's pretty face, even more by the fact that they're all foundation funded, they're all corrupt, they're all somehow hooked into the left wing of the CIA, and this is something they like because it's done under left cover. They're going to sell this to you as an anti-dictator move. In the background, is the U.S. already waging war on the ground against Gaddafi inside Libya? Iranian Press TV, 2 or 3 days ago, says that starting on the 23rd, 24th of February, NATO forces, U.S., British, and French yet, landed in Libya and are now acting as advisors to this rebellious force in Cyrenaica, in the eastern part of Libya, the Tobruk, Benghazi, and related areas. So the U.S. may already be on the ground with advisors, and we know from Vietnam, where the advisors go, then the combat troops follow. Maybe some of these advisors are going to get captured. Maybe they already have been. Get to that in a minute. 3 Dutch Marines were captured by the Gaddafi forces inside Libya. Now, supposedly they were on a humanitarian mission. Who guarantees us? Maybe they were there for terrorism. Maybe they were there to put in bombs. Maybe it was ABC weapons. Who knows? Atomic, bacteriological, chemical provocations, right? To accuse Gaddafi of going chemical, say, against his own population. That would be a wonderful ticket for an intervention under left cover in this case. And the U.S. is massing Marines in Greece, specifically the island of Crete. Why Greece? Interesting. Not Italy. The nearest base is the NATO base in Sigonella, Sicily. That's closer than Crete to the parts you'd want to hit, closer than Crete to the Gaddafi-controlled areas. Is it the case that Berlusconi and Frattini, the Italian government, are saying no to using Italy as a launch pad for aggression against Libya? They have said, Frattini has said that because of the Italian colonial past in Libya, occupied the place from about, 1912 to 1943 or so, Italy will not be involved. Ironically, the left-wing government, the socialist Papandreou of Greece, is a bigger U.S. stooge than the right-wing government of Italy. How interesting. Back in a minute.